I was just wondering why the salary line in the communications budget goes up by so much. I just see how that budget has increased over time. Our initial budget last year was 2.9, and, you know, by next year's initial budget, it's going up to 3.5. I guess I'm just wondering why that budget would be going up $500,000. Is it that people are getting raises? Are we adding people to the communications department? Or
I think we need to be careful to understand that that's not just communications. That's what I was telling you. It's business, it's the whole central office. You'll see that budget printed over and over again under the different headings.
I'm looking at communications budget.
Right, it's not. It's the communication budget is the portion up there, and it's contained in the central support. But you'll see the same numbers listed under the business budget, under, I think, maybe human resources, under several.
Okay, why wouldn't we be dividing this out so we can understand how much each department costs? Why are we organizing it in this manner?
We're following the state requirements for accounting. So that's how we've...
Well, I understand that's how you report it to the state, of course, but I mean, for a presentation like this where we're going through department by department, we're talking about new costs in each department, wouldn't it make sense to talk about what these new things actually cost, so we can just see, like, what does this department cost? What are we paying for? Because otherwise the numbers just they don't really mean as much.
Trustee Gupta.
I would just propose that if it's the will of the board to request that sort of a new kind of report in the future, that we communicate that ahead of time via a majority vote of the board, so that folks can adequately prepare for that and not be caught off guard with an expectation that wasn't laid out there ahead of time.
Well, my question is that something the board cares to see? Does the board like this format, or would they prefer to see what each department costs?
Madam President?
Trustee Alspa.
I think that's an interesting thought, and I understand that we need to follow the state accounting standards, because that's the way we upload this system. And if you want to talk about that, you know, we just had a committee meeting, and you were there, and we can bring that up at the next committee meeting if you like.
We talked about it at our committee meeting too. We talked a lot about
Right.
a lot about this and about changing the presentation so that we can understand better how, you know, what exactly we're paying for in each department.
And
I mean,
you're
that was
looking
my
at the
understanding,
presentation
actually.
that reflects our committee meeting feedback. This is different than the presentation. And I know
Look.
at the committee meeting, you also brought up this, and we did answer that question because this is the way the state accounting. Now, if you want to bring up a separate question of, I'd like to see like totally what this one department costs us, we can have that discussion next committee meeting, no problem.
No, what I'm saying is.
All right, I would like us to get back to our agenda item here.
Can I clarify? I'm just
No,
curious what the board
it is not germane
wants.
to this at the moment. We have a presentation that is here. You're talking about doing something for a future year, but right now this is the information we have, and I'd like to proceed with the presentation.
I'm just trying to interact with the information that I see. And now that I understand that this is not organized in the way that we discussed at the SBOC meeting, I'm just wondering if that's something the board's interested in doing. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying, for the future, I understand this is how we report things to the state, and I don't suggest we change how we report it to the state. I'm asking, if we're going to have a presentation at a board meeting, what's the most helpful way to look at each of these departments, since we're clearly organizing the presentation by department, which I think is very helpful. So if it looks to me like the board members don't want to discuss how they want to see future presentations, they would prefer
Point of order,
keep it
she's
like that.
assuming our
So
motivations. As I said, trustee,
I'm
Okay.
I'm trying to summarize what
Everyone,
you're saying.
please stop. Okay, because everyone cannot talk at the same time. As I said, I'd like to continue with this. We can certainly have discussions about the future, but I don't think it needs to be at this moment in time. I have made a note on my piece here about talking about the budget presentation in the future. But at this point, I think we should continue so that we can get through the rest of this and our questions. Trustee Lozan?
I just want to say that I do see what Carol Beth is saying. I interpret it as a $354,000 increase to communication since it was on that. So I do agree with that. More clarity would be nice.